right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 89. We are pushing closer to the 100, and we will be celebrating when we get there. But heck of a lot of content. If you are listening for the first time, please go back and check out previous episodes. There are so many good episodes and topics that we've discussed in the past. But anyways, we put it out to the members to see what people wanted to hear, and we got a bunch of good responses. So we are actually going to cover all of those topics, but we can't do them in one episode. So we're going to pick at them one by one. So today's episode is going to be about training smart, when to take a rest day, how to know you're doing too much or too little. And this is something that's evolved for me over the years in understanding how to listen to my body, how to train the right way so that I feel good, that I can keep doing it for a very long time, rather than, the typical progression of a CrossFitter that wants to do everything all at once. And I think it's like more is not better, better is better is the mindset behind that. And I would say, in my opinion, I'm curious what you think, and what is the number one thing that probably leads to, I guess we can call it burnout.
Yeah.
But when we say burnout, it's lack of recovery, probably more injury prone, not seeing the results that you might potentially be able to see if you were training a little bit smarter. Where do you see that typically in members that are coming into the gym? And it's important to know it's not like the elite athlete. It's the person doing CrossFit every day.
Yeah, if you're not taking a rest day,
Yeah.
you're going to burn out so much quicker. Even if you feel like you're coming in and still being smart with your workouts, but you're coming in 7 days a week. And I've met members in my previous jobs and stuff that have been like, hey, this is my 9th class in a row, or my 9th day. And they ask for advice. I'm like, yeah, you need to just take a day off. I think that 100% leads to burnout and not seeing any progress. I mean, even for me, who's been doing this for 12 years, progress is different now for me. But, if for somebody that's been doing it for a year, they're more likely to still see progress. So it's trying to just track in different ways. So progress would be one that you just see a lack of. But back to initial question, it's just you're not giving yourself the rest. The body needs time to recuperate, to just sit down, allow yourself to refuel and eat and enjoy rest, because that's where, quote unquote, you're going to get your gains from.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand at a basic level, what's happening there. When you work out, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's cardiovascular, whatever it might be, you are essentially breaking down your body. And when we say stimulus of what's happening, you're pushing your body past a point of comfort zone so that it realizes that it needs to adapt or it's not going to be successful. And at a very basic biological standpoint, your body's going to adapt to what you throw at it. And when you do that, you essentially break your body down. Now, if you break it down and you don't give it the chance to build back up, which, it doesn't happen from day to day between workouts. I think it needs to be a little bit more calculated than that. And it goes into a number of different things too. It's how well are you sleeping? How much are you eating? All of these basic building blocks that your body needs to do its job, we tend to ignore because as CrossFitters, we love to do all the things all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's natural too when somebody starts CrossFit or they start to, evolve into that next level of training where there's so much thrown at you because CrossFit is very broad. You want to get better at all the things.
Yeah.
And then you try to slam them in, and there's only 7 days in a week, so you fall into the trap of, I'm either going to train longer each day, or I'm going to train every single day, and then typically it's, I'm going to train longer every single day.
Yes.
And that's no good.
No, yeah, because it's almost like there's two ways. You chase the high of how you feel after your workout, so you want to continually do that, or you're chasing the high of the progress that you're seeing. And then in the eyes of some people, taking a day off is I'm losing it. No, I'm not going to get it back. And it's that's not, no, if anything, you're going to see better progress by giving yourself that day or taking the day off. Again, there's other ways to I don't want to say chase the high, but how good you feel after a workout. Maybe when you're taking that rest day, maybe it's finding ways to relax a little bit more, or finding ways to just spend more time with family, meditate. Those are things that I try to do, but Yeah, it's tough because there's so many ways that you can get pulled into this and love it, but then it can very easily like kind of bite you in the butt at the same time.
I think those lifestyle factors that we talk about all the time, and this is still a disconnect that I think that we have with the overarching goal and mission of what we're delivering, is that people see it as purely exercise. And when you ask me what CrossFit is, it's all encompassing, right? When you start to do CrossFit, it's not just the workouts. It's not just constantly varied functional movements at high intensity. It's having a higher priority of your lifestyle and taking care of yourself and taking your life to a 10 out of 10 rather than just hanging out at a 6 out of 10. And that's sleeping better.
Yeah.
That's building better habits outside. That's trying to reduce your stress or whatever it might be. It's eating better. It's just this evolution of what's going to happen to you outside of the gym when you start taking care of yourself inside of the gym. And I think people often forget that and how much that aids in the recovery and the progress that people see. And essentially just getting more in tune with your body, I think, is something that's very important too. It's like your body's going to tell you so many different things. It's just a matter of, do you want to listen to it?
Yeah. I think it comes down to lifestyle changing, where maybe it's hard right now for you to just get into the gym, but for like that's like the initial the jump to get you going, and then now we have to make another lifestyle change, because again it's like nutrition, or it's the sleep, or adding things on. But I think a lot of people that do CrossFit tend to just do the workout, and it's very hard to get them to do the other things. But I think what we do here very well, and you're very good at explaining this and like vocalizing, is trying to get people to understand the other stuff. Because again, we were talking about this prior, but like just trying to keep people healthy and not in the unwell phase of, we don't want people to get sick. So like it's not just the working out, it's all the things around it. That's why with nutrition, it's not just the food, it's your recovery as well, and all the things that come around that. Like, are you working out? Are you not? Are you sleeping well? Are you not? Are you hydrating? Are you not? What's your stress like? Because this is a great starting point, but I would love to get more people just conscious of all the other things that can help them. But
yeah, no, I agree with that 1,000,000%. And like when you really go back to CrossFit methodology at its core, I feel like it took a fork in the road that blurred that initial vision of what it was when the sport came around. And the sport's awesome. Like I love watching it. It's great. It's really, really cool, but it is not what the original methodology was, and it's a lifestyle change. Yeah. It's, when we come in and people say that, oh, I do CrossFit, it's really hard. You're not doing anything that's out of the norm, not something that got reinvented. We're just doing the basics differently, putting some intensity behind it, putting some intention behind it. But methodology was all encompassing, and it included all of those different factors, and understanding that, CrossFit was born for the person that had a hard time making it work. Everybody knows that we're all busy as individuals. Everybody has stuff going on. Everybody has curveballs thrown at us in life. CrossFit gives you the ability for the workout piece of it to get something done relatively quickly. It also gives you the chance to build community. And what community leads to is, if other people are striving for better, you're going to surround yourself with those people, and you're going to want better for yourself.
Yeah.
And then where that trickles outside of the gym, in my mind, is when you start putting the effort into the gym, that starts to trickle into, well, where can I be better when I'm at home, or where can I be better when I'm at work? And that becomes into the habits and the sleep and the lowering stress and spending time with family and doing cool shit outside of the gym. And then you bring in the nutrition piece of it, which is like rocket fuel. And it's like, okay, am I fueling my body the right way to recover and then perform in terms of progress? And then all that other stuff starts to fall in place when it's, you're talking muscle gain, weight loss, aesthetics, different stuff like that. It's part of the journey. But it's important to understand that CrossFit methodology as a whole birthed to do just that for the average individual. And then to kind of bring it all back to what we're really talking about today is how you're doing too much. How do you fit this into your lifestyle? Make sure that you're not doing too much that's going to put you into that overtraining category. CrossFit originally was, 2 days on, 1 day off?
3 on, 1 off. 2 on, 1 off.
Yeah, 3 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off. And it just kept a consistent cycle of that.
It allowed you to keep intensity for a few days and then earn the rest day, essentially. And then just sprinkle in a few more of higher intensity days, and then again earn the rest day or like needing that rest day. So
Yeah.
I mean the intensity is different all of those days. Again, like AMRAPs, 4-time, heavy days, longer workout, shorter workout. So they're different every day.
Or even, what about, do you remember when they would just program 20-minute skill sessions?
Oh, I
It's
love
like,
that.
practice
Yeah.
your handstands for 20 minutes today. That's your workout.
Yeah.
And it's like, people lose that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm following somebody on there. I forget who it is, but they're doing like 100 days of workouts, and their workout was just 100 single leg hops. Like that was it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did other stuff, but like that's a skill. They were working on it, and that was their workout for the day. And it's tough to do days like that at the gym because they're not the most exciting. Like it doesn't grab people to come in. But I don't know, maybe we got a different kind of crew here, so maybe
we do have a different kind of crew.
So maybe I'll try it, see if they'll come in for just a skill day.
Yeah, that's why I fell in love with CrossFit, because if you look at somebody that doesn't understand it fully, you look at the hard pushes on a machine and the barbells and stuff like that. When it's like, if you go back to the methodology that literally changed lives, those skill sessions were lower intensity. The heavy days are intensity in a different way. It's not always heart rate spiked to 200 or max and then, melting on the floor. Like, program days were rest days. That would be like if you went into our programming, someone looked at it throughout the week, and they looked at Wednesday and it was just, today is a day of rest.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's there for a reason, because our bodies need it when we are training like this. And that is what allows us to do this for the long term and not just break ourselves down chasing, whatever the flashy thing is right then.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do we implement this so that we can continue to do this stuff for the long term and stay healthy? And that's where that stuff comes in.
Yeah. And it doesn't really have to do with like the full topic, but I think it was tough for CrossFit because now that it's a sport, when it started, it wasn't. And it had this methodology behind it. I mean, think of all the other sports that are out there. They don't have a methodology of like health and fitness. It's just a sport. So
Yeah.
I think it's tough. And I think people get confused with CrossFit, the sport, versus because we're the only ones out there that have that.
Yeah, and it's also flashy, right? Like, if you
Yeah.
search CrossFit, chances are you're going to find something that has to do with the games rather than something that has to do with, those old school CrossFit videos that used to be on YouTube that like really dove into the basics of what it was.
Oh, I love watching all of those.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Yeah, if you haven't, guys, if you haven't watched, I would just do like a nice deep dive of like old CrossFit videos. Nasty Girls, that video, just like how badass it is seeing women doing strict muscle ups like from the L-sit position, and it was just so cool to like see that. And then that was something you didn't really see back then, like 15, 20 years ago. Women just really being super strong, and that's why I'm such a big fan of the space is because I want to advocate for women to feel strong and like
It's badass.
yeah, and be like it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know many other, and I'm not in many other sports, but I don't know how much that's talked about. Definitely like growing up didn't really, but
No.
I could go on a whole other tangent. But I think in terms of recovery for you, what's a sign that you kind of notice that you're like needing a rest day?
Oh, so if I'm in a workout, this is number one. If I'm in a workout and my brain at any point is like, what the heck is going on right now? Like, if I'm just feeling sluggish, I'm tired, I don't have that extra gear, that's a rest day for me. I need to relax and I need to chill out. Try to be most in tune with like my central nervous system. And like, that is something that you can't really hear, feel, see, or anything like that. But I'll look at my week of training and I'll be like, all right, I probably did push the needle a little bit harder than I normally do. And then if I feel a workout, where I'm just feeling sluggish or like I'm reluctant to do the next piece or I just feel like I'm going slower, that is 100% red flag to take a rest day. And that's outside of my rules for myself. My rules for myself is Thursday and Sunday is always a rest day.
I'm the same.
Always.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what people ask me to do. It doesn't matter what's going on. I take those days not working out to rest and recover so that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, I can do my workouts.
Yeah.
And like, that is just zero questions asked, non-negotiable. That's what I do. And every time that I've tried to break that rule, I felt it and I've paid for it. So I keep that very consistent in my routine.
do you find it's easy for you to find a difference between the days that you're just tired, but you could work out that day or the next day, or like you definitely need a rest day? Like, is there a difference for you?
Yes. You talking like just bad sleep, tired, I got to get this thing done, or
Yeah, I
like,
think, or like for women, sometimes PMS just makes them like feel crappy, so like they're just tired,
yeah,
but they know they can push through it. So different thing. I mean, I know you
yeah.
don't deal with PMS, but
That's it's a tough question, and it's a tough thing to realize, and I think that's where, like, if you go back to what I said, the central nervous system is hard to judge. You can't really see it.
yeah,
That's where I really rely on those 2 days that are in there,
mm-hmm.
because if it's outside of those days, I'm pretty confident that I'm just tired, right? It
Yeah,
could be a long Monday, which Mondays are always long for me. It could be bad sleep the night before, or it could be allergy season, or it could be feeling myself getting sick. But like, if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday, I'm going to work out and I'm going to give whatever percent that I have to give for that day, keeping the Thursday and the Sunday open for my rest. Now, something like last week where it was Nick's birthday on Wednesday and we did that absolutely debilitating workout, which was
get ready, see if it. No, I'm
yeah,
kidding.
it was above and beyond anything that I normally do in my training. Like, we put the hammer down. And then even a couple weeks ago, Saturday, when we did the ergathon, which was the 60-minute AMRAP that we did up at Seacoast, both of those things destroyed me and I could feel it.
Yeah,
So when I do something like that, and on a normal training day, I'm feeling more sluggish than most days, I'm usually pretty certain that I've probably pushed the needle far and I need to absolutely take a rest day, or I need to take a day where I back off just a little bit.
yeah,
So those are kind of like my 2 things that I keep as my guide, because oftentimes if you just go off a feel, it's hard to decipher if you're just tired or if you're really in need of a rest day.
and your nutrition's dialed in too. So like you have a little extra to help you in that process because you know what your macros calories
Mm-hmm.
are going to be that will allow you to like set yourself up for success for the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that would be harder for someone who is not necessarily dialed in with their nutrition.
Yeah. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
a quick story too, and why this is so important. This was not this past year, but the year before that, Thanksgiving Day lumberjack. That's when it's the 400-meter run, and I think it's like 8 different movements, 20 reps. So I came in and I coached that morning. I think it was 2 or 3 sessions, and then I did the workout with Courtney after. And I had to stop and walk on those 400-meter runs very early on, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, and it was just because I skipped breakfast. I just completely forgot about it. I got lost in coaching.
I don't know how you. I don't.
I didn't have the normal fuel that I had in my body that my
Yeah.
body was used to, and when that happened and I tried to push the needle, it showed.
Yeah.
And it even shows in some of the longer distance things that I've done, like the 20-mile race and half marathon.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between fueling and not fueling and giving yourself the calories that your body needs can feel detrimental. It's
Yeah.
night and day.
Yeah.
So when you have your nutrition dialed in, what the point that I'm trying to make is that it gives you the opportunity to recover and perform so much more on a consistent basis,
Mm-hmm.
where that's not even going to be a factor of like, oh my God, I just didn't have it in me today. Well, did you eat enough?
Yeah.
We don't want that to be a factor, so that's why we want to keep it as consistent as possible.
Yeah. Somebody asked me a few weeks ago. They just felt sluggish during the workout, and they're like, "I think I'm dehydrated. Like I haven't been drinking water, or I'm only drinking water." And they asked about the elements, and I was like, "Those are a great way to get your body to absorb the water."
Yeah.
So I did suggest to them trying to incorporate like one a day and just seeing how they feel, because I think even something like that can make a big difference.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for people to find a way to, again, set themselves up for success when they're going into a workout or the next day, especially on like a rest day.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a great day that you could be, especially if you know you're going to be working out. So if you're resting on Sunday and you know like your whole week is going to be working out Monday through Friday or Saturday, use that time to like plan out your meals, make sure like that you're all right. I'm going to make sure every day I'm going to bed at this time. Use those rest days as a way to set yourself up for success on the following days. Like
Yeah.
little things like that versus scrambling and trying to like figure it out the day of, or, you know, the night before. Well, the night before is okay. But again, I would have a routine.
I think it's important to note too, like that's all well and good in theory, like have a plan, but you know, what are the chances that that goes by the wayside as the week unfolds? It's likely, right?
Yeah.
But I think the point that you're trying to make and emphasize is that the fact that you have that plan is going to make that derailment much easier to handle in the moment than just not having a plan at all.
Yep.
And, you know, that's where, you know, at least wrapping your head around, I'm going to kind of game plan this, and then whatever happens, happens, is going to make navigating those situations much more beneficial to you. So do make sure that you have a plan, and don't expect perfection to happen with that plan, because I think that's a common misconception. When people meal prep or they plan out their meals, they're like, I can't do it. And it's like, that's okay. As long as you have a plan, I guarantee you are way further down the line than if you just didn't focus on it at all.
Yeah. Could just be like what your snack is going to be before you work out, or when you're going to eat after you work out, things that are super important, or like what time you're going to try and get into bed every week, making sure how much water am I going to eat every day? Little things like that. It doesn't have to be super specific. It's really depending on where you're starting, and then building from there. But
there was something that, I don't know, did you watch the video that Kyle sent us yesterday?
Not yet. No, I want to, though.
So there was a concept in there that I thought it applied pretty good to this topic. And it made a lot of things start to make sense with the mindset that we have in here, and why it's a little bit different from what most people kind of aim towards. And essentially what he did was he had a sliding scale of like 1 to 10, right? And when somebody comes in here and they want to live a 10 out of 10 lifestyle, but they're currently at like a 3 out of 10 in terms of not moving throughout the day, their nutrition isn't dialed in, yada, yada, yada. If they're at a 3 out of 10 and they start pushing and training at a 6 out of 10 without taking those pre-steps that get you to there first, that's where injury and lack of recovery and everything starts to happen.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
Right. And he gets into another point, which is probably a topic for a different day. When, you know, you go to PT or anything like that, a lot of the times the bigger PT operations will try to just get you back to baseline. So like if you're good at a 4 out of 10, they're going to get you healthy enough to do a 4 out of 10 lifestyle, which is eliminating, and I'm sure everybody's heard this, well, we don't want you to squat and deadlift anymore. Right? That's the 4 out of 10 lifestyle. But most of the people that walk through this door, we're all motivated to be 10 out of 10 people. Like, we want to be able to go outside. We want to be able to lift things. We want to not fear using our body and having our fitness in our back pocket. Where the misconception goes is we forget about the steps of going from 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 and then to 10. We want to just jump it all on. And that's where like the 7 days a week, more is not better, better is better starts to come in. And I thought it was a really good concept, and honestly, like we could spend a whole other episode on that, but it's something to start to think about when you think about your training. It's like, make sure that you're taking the necessary steps to build yourself up to the lifestyle that you want, rather than catering your life to bring it down to the lifestyle that you're at. We're all capable of more.
100%. And I think, so something I wanted to talk about too, and I think that is like, I don't think people are aware of it, is we've been talking about this, and I think that there's some members that might be dealing with it as well, as other ways that you can recognize that you need to incorporate more rest, or that you're going a little bit, I wouldn't say too hard, but like doing too much currently. Again, more like adding in a rest day, is like if you're not seeing progress, or you're getting injured. And I know with my body, like so for me, I recently started doing more, like I went from doing just heavy days with like deadlifting, and immediately went into heavy deadlifts for fast, like for speed. And my back showed that. And I've been dealing with back pain for, I don't know, 2 weeks before the open. So still in it, but because I incorporated that so quickly, I was like, all right, I need to like make sure I'm being more mindful. So like it forced me to slow down on any time I was pulling from the ground. It's like normally, I could probably do 20 or 30 pounds heavier. It's like, no, we're going to take it easy, because I had not been doing the thing for so long. So sometimes injuries are a way to, or it's a way for the body to tell us like we need to slow down a little bit, or we need to take a rest day. Slow down in the sense of like if you're working out 6 or 7 days a week, or mostly 7, or you're just pushing the needle too much every time you come in and not allowing, like, that's why we program heavy days, because it's different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a chance to get people to slow down. Like, I got a lot of people today just doing light squat snatches, but it was, again, the intensity compared to yesterday is drastically different. And
Yeah.
even though they're like, it was more mindset versus, like, again, their heart rate, you know, going really high. But I think another way versus just feeling overall fatigue is just being like, all right, is this bothering me? I'm pulling this, my shoulder's doing this, I have a hip thing, I get a foot thing. So I think if you're starting to see a lot of things adding up that are starting to bug you, but you're still able to, like, come in and whatever. But I think it's a great way to be like, all right, I think this is a sign that I need to, like, slow down, make sure I have a rest day, because there's a lot of active people in here that do stuff outside of this.
Mm-hmm.
And most likely they're not eating enough, they're not sleeping enough for all of those things. And they're definitely not stretching or rolling out, which they should be to some extent, or getting a massage or getting some kind of body work, which I guarantee you they're probably more likely to do the sleep better and the food-ish. But there's so many ways. Again, I think that's what we're here for, is talk to us, because we don't know what everybody's doing outside of here. We only see you inside these walls. So the more they can communicate to us, the more we can help them or you guys set up for success, so that you are still seeing progress, but, like, not worrying that you're going to lose it, I guess.
100%.
By taking a day off.
I think the most important thing from what you just said was that our body gives us red flags.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
stress is too high, your body's going to show it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, all that stuff starts to happen. And I've been, communicating this to a lot of people lately. And it's that, when you are the type of person that wants the 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 lifestyle, right? That involves activity. That involves, trying to get your body better and taking those necessary steps. That journey is not like zero pain, zero red flags.
Right.
Like, you're going to have things that show up that are, probably the product of 30 years of not doing it, 40 years of not doing it,
100%.
or previous injuries or whatever it might be. It's just a different type of red flag, right? If you're a sedentary person and you sit at a desk all day, well, you can get back injuries from doing that, and they're vastly more detrimental. It's a different type of pain, different type of injury.
Yes.
But, like, my elbow hurts right now. And it's probably because I have to identify some sort of weakness that's either in my tricep or my stability. This is not an injury. This is not limiting me in any way. But it is a red flag to be like, why is that happening? Let me look back and see what I'm doing and how can I strengthen that up. That way I'm not pushing the needle past the point of what my joints are able to handle.
Is your left shoulder okay? Or is that the one that bugs you?
Left shoulder's okay. It was the one that bugged me before.
Yeah, see, when I ever, like, there's things, it's like either your right shoulder's bugging you or your left one is. And, like, so for me, I also have elbow stuff. But it's on my other side. So for me, I'm building so much strength on my right shoulder, or trying to, that I think I'm compensating more on my left. So it's just tired. So I have, like, tendonitis right now. So, but because I've spent so many months really strengthening, like, my right shoulder's been doing fantastic. And now this guy's, like, slowly getting better because it's not having to push as hard. But I always look at someone and go, all right, well, diagonal from that, what's going on that side of the body? Or like, what's going up the chain? Maybe it's your right shoulder, maybe your wrist is, like, really tight and you don't realize it. Could definitely still be your tricep, could even be your bicep. But yeah, there's all those things.
100%. And, like, where do we take that a step further is, like, I'm aware of this red flag right now. I'm not going to go and do a workout with 300 feet of handstand walking, or I'm not going to do, like today in the squat snatches, I'm not going to push the needle to my highest capacity, right? I'm going to probably keep it a little bit lower just so that I can start to work in the range that feels good. And then slowly but surely, as that elbow starts to feel better, when I start to address these different things outside of it, then I'm cool to start to push that needle forward. I think where people miss the mark is they come in and they see the workout on the board and they feel like they have to push the needle every single day. And it's like, that's not the case. It's like, if you start to get some red flags in your body, give your body what it needs. You know, the common one that we see is people's backs blow up if we have a lot of hinging, right? Those muscles get worked past the point of what they're used to. And this is very normal because most people don't train their back to be efficient through that type of stuff. So kettlebell swings, deadlifts, lots of pulling from the ground, If you complement that, even with some squats and stability, you might start to feel that. They're like, oh my God, my back, I'm hurt. No, it's a red flag to tell you that your core and your midline needs to get stronger, and we need to do that taking the proper steps. If you continue to do what we're doing and you ignore it, then yes, the opportunity for injury starts to present itself. But these things are things to be aware of as you start training so that you're way ahead of the game. It's awareness in my eyes.
Yeah, when I first started CrossFit, because I'm hypermobile, my low back is very flexible, and I have no hamstrings. They're there, but they don't do much. And yet, for like the first year or two, I remember I would be in I finished an open workout one year, and it was deadlifts and box jumps. I ran to the freezer. I used to keep an ice pack in the freezer, and I would have to put it on my back multiple times. And I remember running over and immediately putting it on my back because I was in so much pain. It went away. You know, you feel some fatigue the next day, but I'm not saying everybody should move it to the point. I don't know why anybody let me do it that hard, but
Yeah.
but I will say, like, because I was pulling so much, and again, this doesn't have to be to the level that I was doing it, but just consistently doing the thing, my pain went away, and it wasn't a thing anymore. I do see it a little bit now because I stopped doing that for so long. Like, I wasn't doing that same training, but I know what I'm doing now, being much smarter, having somebody help me through that process. I'm going to be doing it a smarter way, and it's going to get strong again because it's definitely gotten weak from the lack of doing it.
Yeah.
But there's 100% a smart way to do it. Talk to us. We've probably done it the wrong way, which we're great for advice to help people through that.
I think that's very important for people to understand is like anything that we do, anything that we tell you, the way that this whole program is developed between this team as a whole is based on experience. It's not based on something that was read in a textbook or the latest thing on Instagram that we're starting to do. It's like, it's a combination of my life, your life, Coach Kyle's life, Coach Nick's life, Coach Katie. Every time that you get coaching from us, you're getting experience not from just that individual, but experience that we've all shared with each other. And I think that's what makes this group so great is we all have different experiences. Kyle has a strength and conditioning background. He has that experience. I have my experiences. You have your experiences. And all this stuff that we do and we implement, and when you ask us for advice, is coming from pure experience. And if we don't have it, we're going to find it from somebody. Somebody sure as hell has it on this team. And that's what we're going to give you is what has worked for us and what we've noticed to be true. So, you know, the answer is not what some textbook says or, you know, there's validity in a lot of that stuff. It's there for a reason. But like when your back starts to blow up or something like that, I'm never going to tell you to stop moving because I have healed every single red flag in my body through movement, just smart movement.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to be my advice. And I know that you're the same. And you can even take that story that you just said where, you know, the common trait, especially in old school CrossFit is like, well, my back was blown up yesterday, but I feel semi-good today. So I'm going to go hit it hard again. And it's like when you started to do that stuff, though, you notice the difference. And that's where I think CrossFit has evolved so much in the years based on the experience of the people that have done it consistently. Because now we can incorporate like a lot of your accessory stuff is strength and conditioning based. It's single leg. It's rotational. It's stuff that you wouldn't normally see towards we don't have to put the pedal to the metal every day. We're taking care of the body.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say. I think... Oh, yeah, nothing. I lost it.
I think a good way to wrap up this episode is both of us just saying like what our routines are and how we're mindful of not overtraining at this point.
Yeah.
You first.
Okay. I train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, take Thursday off, and then I train Friday, Saturday, and I take Sunday off. I've been doing that for a long time. I think way back in the day, I was doing 6 days a week. Side note, I remember when I first started CrossFit, I was also working with a trainer that was like CrossFit certified. It was one way how I got familiar with it, but I still had sessions with him, and I remember I would go do my PT with him, and then I would go and take a CrossFit class. And I was doing 5 days a week at CrossFit, work with him Saturday morning, then take a class. And I remember I went one morning, we were doing something, and I just fell apart. And he was like, what is going on? And I told him that I had been doing this for like a month. And he's like, why didn't you tell me? Like, I would not be pushing you this hard. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Like, I knew nothing. This was probably like the first month into CrossFit. because he wouldn't be doing, like, if he knew I was doing all of that during the week, he had no idea. And then also doing more on that. I didn't know how to fuel. Nobody was teaching me about how I should be sleeping, all of these things. So it is important, I think, I even had somebody come up to me and be like, hey, I'm training for marathon. Like, my heart rate's getting elevated pretty easily, but I still want to move. And we're like, all right, we're going to scale the shit out of this workout. And I'm fine with you working out and but she wasn't a 10 out of 10. She was like a 1 out of 10 for the day, but it mentally helped her kind of do the thing. Because she told me why she was doing all this other training. So I think it's important for people to communicate. But okay, back to my story. 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. I also work with a nutrition coach, so I'm making sure that I'm staying dialed in. Currently in a cut, but it's only like an 8-week cut. So, bound to find days where I'm going to be tired because my volume is a little bit higher, but I have somebody that's like controlling what, the workouts that I'm doing and making sure like it's within my capacity. Last Tuesday, you saw me, you came into the office and I was like, I barely opened my eyes, and it had a day where it hit me and I was exhausted. And I think I got more anxiety being like, why is this happening? And it could have been, again, I'm in a cut, or it could have been PMS, but I took the day off and I was fine with that. Mm-hmm. And then I went back Wednesday, still tired, but felt better. Managed to do some stuff, but I didn't do all of the things. Like, I just did what I felt okay with. And then I moved on because, again, it's just 2 days. I'm not going to lose my gains. I'm not, like, if anything, this is going to help me
100%
going forward. So, I don't mind doing things when I'm tired, but that was like, I felt it in my face. It was so weird to like find that exhaustion. And those occasionally will happen to me. And that was a day I knew that it was unplanned for a rest day. And I ended up Thursday, my normal rest day. I just did like zone 2, just moved. That was something that was already programmed for me, but like, I'm not, trying to break any records. I literally just did on my machines and I sweat a little bit. And I think people undervalue like a recovery day, active recovery day. So like if you have a routine and you want to come in, maybe you're taking one of the days that you normally come in and you're just doing zone 2-ish type where you're just taking it easy, keeping the routine of being in here. And then you can hammer it the other days. But then you're still giving yourself that full day of resting, like Sunday or Saturday.
100%. Yeah, I love that. And very similar for myself. I train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Something that's unique is I started doing jiu-jitsu 1 to 2 times a week. In the beginning, that was just a very quick reality check that I can't do that and this at very high intensity because it is more training. So then I dialed that back. I wasn't, doing 2-a-days or anything like that, but I'm very methodical about how I do that training. So like I go there to learn, I sweat a little bit, and then if I do come in here and work out after that, which I typically do, it's level 1 or level 2. And like I just look to move. I'm not pushing the needle on that. But I also dialed that back too. Like I did it on Sundays a couple times. I did it on Thursdays, and I was like, nope, these are my rest days. I need to really hold true to that.
And you could even do, so say you did like jiu-jitsu, you could even do like, if you came in, say you wanted to work out in the morning, you could do a heavy day. It could be a bench press day. It could be a deadlift day. Something heavier where the intensity is going to be different. Like I wouldn't do a 45-minute workout knowing like you're going to be going for 45 to an hour later that night. But also like you are aware enough that if you were to want to have 1 or 2 days a week that you did 2 different things like a CrossFit and jiu-jitsu, you would need to up your nutrition. You're going to get a lot more food in there so that you're fueled.
Bingo.
You're probably going to dial in your sleep a little bit more. I mean, that'd be the goal at least. But maybe a sauna session there. But again, that's like, even that gets your heart rate up and could be similar to a workout. So it's like making sure you're appropriate with those as well. But like I wouldn't do a double session and then a sauna that same day. I would do it like on a Sunday, like days away from it. But
yeah, I think that, on the days that I do go to jiu-jitsu and then I come in here and train, the training here is more for my mental state rather than physical. Like I thoroughly enjoy having that 30 minutes to an hour of the music is on and I'm just doing something by myself, because that is where I know for me I'm happiest. Jiu-jitsu, you have to have a partner, someone that you're training with. And honestly, I hate that piece of it. I would much rather just go in my cave and do things by myself. That's just how I am. So like that's where CrossFit comes in for that mental state, and that's also very important to me too, because when you take my routine even just a step further, Mondays are the day that I'm coaching all day. I'm here at 5:45. I'm here in the morning until mom's class at 11:30. I'm back for open gym after that, and then I'm coaching all night and then cleaning the gym at the end. Like I take Tuesday morning to not push the needle because I know that that was a long day. And then I'll train later that afternoon. And usually that's a little bit more of like a, hey, I'm going to work out to enjoy this. I'm not going to push the needle depending on how I'm feeling. So it's not just my training routine. It's my lifestyle too. I try to see what days literally mentally drain me. And then I have to recover from those because it all comes full circle.
Yeah.
And then like you, I work with a nutrition coach. So they're always, in my corner, whatever's changing. If I'm feeling sluggish, if I'm feeling low on energy, I just let them know, and then they act as my third-party objective guide, and they're like, well, no, you're good, or, hey, we're going to up you here. This is the game plan. I also, like the Thursdays and the Sundays aren't just rest days from the gym or from working out. They're rest days from the gym. Like I need to just shut my brain off and have this be a day that I'm just not going to even think about the gym. Like spend time with Courtney, go out and do something that's just completely non-workout related. Use myself outside of the gym and enjoy the little things, because I think that's the stress reduction piece of it for me, where it's like, hey, just enjoy the present moment of life. And that is big in that grand scheme of things. But I follow that plan strict even when I don't want to, because my brain's going to be like, well, you can work out today. You can go do this. You can go to jiu-jitsu on Sunday morning. And I'm like, no, stop doing that, because I eat those words every single time. So I learned the lesson over the years of, I've done 2 workouts in a day. I've trained like crazy. And I will tell you, for the everyday person that just wants to live a kick-ass life, more is not better. Better is better. 1 workout a day, unless you have something that's specifically programmed that's a little bit longer and it's thought out. But 1 workout a day, put your best effort into it, whether that's 50%, 80%, 100%. Take your rest days, make sure that you're eating enough, and then prioritize that stuff outside of the gym. Family time, friend time, alone time, whatever it is for you. All of that stuff plays into injury prevention, long-term care, long-term ability to do this stuff, and making sure that you're giving your body what it needs to recover.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit.
Go for it.
Because I don't mind having more than 1 workout a day as long as you know what you're doing.
Yes, and that's what I was trying to get at too, because like I know you follow like programming.
Yeah.
To whereas like my mindset is I come in and I do whatever you program for today. Like that's my workout. Yeah. But like you have different skill pieces to your lifting. You have a lifting session.
At a 90 at it. Like I'm not even at it. I'm probably at like a 90 for one part of it, if that.
Yeah. And that's where it's important to understand that like that's not just you doing 3 workouts for the sake of doing 3 workouts. That is you doing 3 different pieces that make your day of training.
Yeah.
That has been well thought out by somebody.
Yeah. I would think more for like there's a lot of people that come in and they'll do class and then they might run later. But like I would love to know that because I think it's important for us to know. Because we can kind of guide them and be like, hey, if you're starting to feel like you're not making progress or all these things, like here's ways that we can help you so that you're still seeing the progress. So it's more just talking with us so we can help them get a game plan.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to take that away from them, as long also as that there's a rest day. But I mean, you're different on your rest days. You probably move around a little bit. I'm like a potato. I say this to everybody, and I'm like, Jimmy will come home, and I'm like, I'm not moving. I'm on the couch.
Yeah.
And should I be more active? Maybe. It doesn't bother me now. But yeah, I mean, I still think that again, nutrition and all of those other things are going to make a difference. But I think having a game plan and just kind of going into it without really like knowing what you're doing. Again, that's why I wish people would utilize us more.
Yeah. I think to elaborate on that more, and we've seen it all the time, is someone will come in and do class and they'll be like, oh, I'm going to do Tuesday's workout because I missed it. Right? Like that kind of stuff where it's not.
Maybe not. If it was like Monday and then Tuesday, I wouldn't do that unless you had a big chunk of time in between it. But even that, like, there's a reason I wouldn't do those 2 workouts on the same day. But
Yeah.
if you wanted to do a snatch first and then a workout after,
Yeah.
that's not bad. But I wouldn't try and like overlap just because like there
Yeah.
should be like, if you missed it, that's okay. You can make it up on a different day. Come into open gym, but you're gonna lose a lot of potential if you put 2 workouts that really don't help each other out that close to together. But
You're not making up for the fitness that you lost by doing 2 days worth of workouts in one day.
if anything, you're probably putting it in reverse.
Yes.
But not reverse sounds like so harsh, but like you're better off just doing one really good.
Yes.
And then just moving on and doing
Right.
the next day.
And then, like, I'm sure that, everybody sees some of the ladies that do accessory work and stuff outside of that. That's totally fine. That is catered towards benefiting those little things that people want to get better at.
Yeah.
And it's designed to complement your workouts. But I think you nailed it. If you try to make up for times that you couldn't be in here for something that you didn't do,
Yeah.
and you think that by doing Monday and Tuesday's workout on Wednesday with Wednesday's workout is going to make up for those 2 days, it
No.
puts you in the opposite direction.
And even with the people that I do accessory work with, like if they're working on wall balls, I'm not going to do a wall ball workout that week and then give them something with more wall balls. Like if their focus is going to be squatting, I'm not going to have them do squatting and then class that has squatting, like back squats or whatever. I'm going to take that away for the week because they don't need all of that on top of it unless we've already discussed that there's a specific goal that they're working towards. So I'm not, again, it's more being intentional
Yeah.
even with that.
Yeah. And I
But-
think it's important to address because there's some groups of people that will do that, but then there's other groups of people that just do come to class and they need to
Yeah.
understand when, it's too much or too little. And I think what we got into in the very beginning, having consistent rest days, don't have them be reactionary but predictable. Like, what days do you rest?
Yeah.
But then also just start to get more aware and in tune with your body. Like we said, the number one thing, if you feel sluggish outside of normal sluggishness or tiredness, that's usually a red flag that you need some sort of a rest. Or if you don't see progress happening consistently going forward and you feel like maybe you're losing progress, it could be a result of just doing too much. And that's
Yeah.
not anything to do with anything in the way that you're doing it. You're just needing to take the steps to get your body prepared for what you want it to do in the future. And it's like, just build that up. Take the rest day because that's going to get you from 4 to 5 faster than skipping the rest day doing another workout because you think that's where the progress lies.
What we have in our benefit by having those built-in rest days in that routine is that everything's trackable. Because now, because of the things that we're doing, it's easier to go, oh, like, I can blame, like, this is why I'm tired, or this is this, because we do the same thing every week. The
Yeah.
workouts are different. The rest days are the same. So the more you can get in tune to a routine, the easier it is to track and know, like, every month I'm getting tired around the same time. Like, okay, well, maybe it's because again, PMS. And you know it's just that if you dialed in all these other things. But the more you can track things, the easier it is to, like,
Yeah.
kind of know when, I don't know, just what things are going on. But,
I think that's a real big reason why consistency is so important and why we preach it, because without consistency, you can't have a solid set of data to make those realizations and those decisions.
all the data.
If it's random, you have no idea what's causing what you're feeling. If it's consistent and you're doing the same thing, regardless, your routine is the same always, and something gets out of whack, it becomes very easy to pinpoint what that thing might be.
Yeah.
And then you become aware of it, you can adjust, and you can move forward. And that's a big piece of why I preach consistency, because it gives us that ability to become more aware.
Consistency, and allow the workouts to be not consistent. Like, I want those to be the things that are changed, like allowing us to, like, really adapt, because or not adapt rather, but
Yeah.
constantly varied all the time. Let the workouts be the variations.
Yeah.
Keep everything else consistent, so it's easier. to track.
Consistent in your routine, varied in your workout.
Yeah,
Programming.
I like that. Yeah, program. There you go. One more thing. Do you think that even if you did level 1, because you have the ability to do RX for most things, if you did level 1, do you think that you could essentially drop the hammer more? Does that make sense? Like, so say Monday, if you had done RX and you got 4 rounds and a half, but you scaled it and you did 10 rounds, do you think that would still be, like, for some people that might not be, that might be more intensity? Like, do you still think?
I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Are you saying like
you're doing more work?
If I did level 1 every day, would I be able to skip my rest days and continue to push the needle more?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it's easy to kind of, like, even though you're sometimes for people that have the ability or the strength to do the heavier weight, to do that bigger, like, range, the more challenging range of motion for things, it's easy for those people to go, I'm going to level 1 it, or like scale something today so I can just, like, not have to really think about it. But essentially you might be doing the lighter weight, doing the not shorter range of motion, but usually lighter weights, easier to track this, but is a harder workout because you're doing more reps. Like, your power output might be more work done versus like the heavier weight. It's really dependent on the person. But
yeah, I think I understand exactly what you're saying.
Which one is?
I think that it is more detrimental, and I don't know if that's the right word, but I think it's you have to be more cautious about going in the RX direction than you have to be going in the level 1 direction. But that's not to take away from the need of rest. And because you went level 1 doesn't mean that you can apply more to it. So what I mean by that is, I think where most people get into trouble, and I've experienced this myself, is that if my body is capable of a level 6 and the RX workout for me is a level 8, if I try to go to that level 8, that's more harm on my body going into those positions and using that weight and how that whole thing unfolds on my central nervous system than if I was capable of a level 5 and I did a level 3 and I really pushed the intensity.
I'm laughing because...
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm envisioning everybody listening to this going,
what the fuck is he talking about?
But do you think, even if you're doing RX, but you're moving slower and doing less reps and resting more, is the intensity...
No,
like,
it's less intensity,
right? Yeah.
But it's gonna affect my body less from a fast moving, strenuous intensity standpoint. But it's gonna be more like if you lift a heavy weight multiple times for 20 minutes.
It's something I've always thought about because I've heard people say, like, oh, I'm level 1ing it today, not to take away from level 1 in general, because it still makes people really fit, and we show that here. But I'm always curious, like, why they're choosing that. Like, is your body sore? Like, should you be doing a rest day instead if you're doing that? Or is it because maybe it's mentally more, like, easy for you to get into a flow state while you're working out versus, like, if your stress is high, like, the last thing you want to do is come in here and feel like you're struggling in a workout. Like, you'd rather have the complement of being able to, like, again, flow state. You're just moving through. You're not having to pause as much. But I find that sometimes it's maybe more that mental side that...
That's a really good point, because we preach this a lot, and it's very much a part of listening to your body and giving yourself what you need on a daily basis. I don't think it's, from a mindset perspective, the answer is not just downgrading your workout. It's doing what you need to do to get to that flow state rather than that state that's above flow state. So, like, if I'm just feeling tired and I know that I don't have 100% in the tank, but I have 70 to give, that could be level 2. It could be level 1. It's going to be whatever I need at that specific moment to approach my workout that I get into that flow state.
Yeah, you don't have to think. You're just moving.
I don't have to think, and I'm just moving.
Those are good workouts.
And a lot of the time, that could be level 1, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be.
No.
But usually it's not pushing the needle to RX on those days because it's nearly impossible to get into a flow state there.
Yeah.
I think that it's a tough way to explain it. Your goal should be to set yourself up to the amount that you have to give for the day.
Yeah, if you only have 70%, try and give 100% of that 70.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still progress.
Based on your ability, what is that 70%? Look at the options. Look at what's on the board. determine what 70% is and then give 100% of that 70%. And that's how you take care of yourself on those days.
Would you say that maybe a sign that you would need a rest day is if you only have 70%, but you can only give like 50% of that?
Yeah, that's a good one too. And it's like, all right, I know that I have this much to give and I'm going to try to give 100% of that. But even when I try to do that, I can't.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that because I think there is progress and I think there's success and still working through the days that you only feel like you have 70.
Yeah.
And I said this to someone in class too. I was like, even though it's a shitty day, it's still worth it.
Yeah.
Like you're still going to get progress from it. And it might not be physically, but definitely mentally. It's tough on a heavy day, but also being able to like work through soreness and a little bit of fatigue, as long as you're like staying safe, you're moving well, all of those things like I think are super important to get better at things. But I think a good way to gauge it is if your odometer's at half full and you can only give a quarter of a tank, like take a rest day.
100%. I agree with that.
Do we just nail it?
I think so. We talked about everything that we wanted to talk about.
That was really good.
Hopefully this was super beneficial, hearing a lot of this stuff. And I'm sure that you are probably going to have some questions after listening to it. And I just want everybody to know the Facebook group that I created for members only.
It's popping off.
It's popping off. In my thought process behind this, and I want you all to understand this, is ask the questions that you are curious about, regardless of if you think it is the simplest, dumbest question or the most intricate, complicated question. Because all of those questions will live within that Facebook group. The answers to those questions will live within that Facebook group. And if somebody joins this gym 3 months from now and they are in your position and wondering the same thing, they have the ability to search that and find out that information from us, from the community. They are going to be able to bypass the curiosity that you have right now. So by asking that question, you could be helping somebody out well into the future.
Yeah.
So please, I want that to be a forum of any question. No question is a bad question. Like, let's get that information in there so that that can be a valuable resource to everybody that steps through this door from now until eternity. So questions, answers, anything that you got, throw it in there and let's hash it out on there, because that's going to be super beneficial to not only everyone in this gym right now, but everybody that steps foot into this gym in the future.
Mic drop.
Boom. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you on the next one. Adios.